Good morning, Hump Day! Mike. So happy Wednesday. So I've been driving a little bit these days. We're back on the road a little, which is kind of fun. And listening to a lot of the real estate guys. Of course, Grant Cardone. I'm a big Grant guy, but that's not the only person I've been listening to. So everybody's talking about how we're in the middle of a super cycle. Now, you know the difference between a regular cycle and a super cycle? That's right, super cycle wears a cape. So with all of the money that the government has pumped into the economy since last March, since the shutdown a year ago March, do you remember that? Do you remember how that happened? So we've put in, as a country, around, it's hard to say exactly, but 6 trillion. So that means for every dollar in your pocket, probably about 40 cents wasn't there 18 months ago. So all of that, liquidity, as the economists call it, has got to go somewhere. And so now we're seeing prices go up. We're seeing housing go up, except for in the major cities, and we're seeing everything else go up. Also because of the shutdown, demand has increased and supply has declined. So there you go. Now, some of it's going to be transitory, but some of it's not. I mean, sometimes there's a psychological component to inflation. And once we hit that, people kind of expect things to stay there. So that's why they're talking about this being a super cycle, especially in real estate. But remember that it doesn't just impact real estate. It impacts everything. And it's not just real estate that you can look to invest in as a way to make money. You can also buy businesses. Remember, the most dangerous time for a business is 0 to 5 years and from 0 to 2 million. On their way to that amount, assuming they ever get there, is where almost all businesses fail, 97%. So you can go buy a business that has gotten past all of that, and you can do it with relatively little money. $30,000. If you can plunk down 30 grand, which I know is asking a lot, but if you can plunk down 30 grand, that'll buy you a business that's got around 250,000 in profits, or at least 150,000 in profits, and should pay you a salary of 80 to 100 grand, and you should be able to triple that in 3 to 5 years if you grow the business correctly, and if the person that you're buying the business from stays along as a co-pilot. So I know of one here in town right now that's turnkey, and the only reason that it's available is because the person's just moving on in their life, and there's a very profitable small business that you could buy right now that's ready to go. You buy it, you turn the key, and you learn how to run it, and you're off and running. So as we're in the middle of this super cycle, remember the 2000s. In the 1990s, we grew like crazy with the dot-com bubble, and then that bubble burst, and then really nothing happened for about 10 years. During George W. Bush's administration, there just really, the stock market didn't have any growth. There just wasn't really any growth anywhere. Nothing really happened. We didn't go up. We didn't go down. We didn't have inflation. We didn't have deflation. Everything just kind of stayed the same. And then we had the banking crisis where everything dropped in half, and then it stayed there for quite a while. So, you can go into periods of 15 years where there really isn't any growth and there might be massive declines. So, and right before that, the dot-com bubble took everything down about 50%. So while we're in the middle of this massive super cycle, after we've now come off of 12 years of growth with the stock market and with the economy, slow and small, but steady, certainly not small in terms of the stock market, you're going to hit this super cycle. You got to figure that after this, things are going to calm down for quite a while. So now's your chance to do something and really get in. If you want to go, if you have 32 units in an apartment complex and you increase the rent by $200 on each unit, if you're able to do that, which right now would not be a big deal, you've increased the value of that property $1.2 million and you just made yourself a millionaire. That's something that you can do in a couple of years. So there's a great deal of opportunity out there right now because there's a lot of people that want to leave these businesses. You're looking for the person that's tired, that's made their money, and now they're ready to get out. You know, you're looking for the real estate property that somebody's owned for 20 years and they took good care of it, but now they're tired of it and they've let it slip a little bit and it needs new management to bring it back up to speed. You're looking for the business that did really well, but the person's now ready to leave it and doesn't want it, you know, their kids don't want it, or they've had a life transition and they're just not ready to work in that business. You know, one of the things that's happened with the shutdown is people have had a chance to stay at home and not spend any money, so they've paid off their debts. You know, it's not just the unemployment that's kept people from working. It's also that a lot of people retired, and it's also that a lot of people stayed at home for a year and a half, paid off their debts, and figured out, you know what, we can live like this. We don't have to live the way that we were. So one of us is going to go back to work because they're making more money, and the other one's going to stay home with the kid. That's happened a lot. Well, if what the other one was doing was running a small business, they now want to get rid of it, and they're willing to sell it on the cheap. So we've been talking about this since we started these videos a year and a half ago, that when we came out of this pandemic, the opportunities were going to be dramatic. Well, they are. The opportunities are out there and they're significant. So if you want to make your mark financially, now is the chance. Now's the time that you go out and you really go for these things. Because, all right, let's say you don't have the money down. Okay, then you figure out how to do it in sweat equity, or you figure out how to come up the money. You commit and then figure out how to do it. That's how business works. If you got any questions, leave me a message and I'll be happy to respond to everybody's responses. But have a great Wednesday. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. Get up and go make your dreams come true today. We're all in this together. Let's take care of each other.